For me, until I was about 9, 10, I looked like a little boy. So a lot of the boys didn't actually know I was a female until, after the game. And
she started off playing AFL and she was in the bottom of the pack. She played exactly like Daniel played.
I loved AFL and I loved, the competitiveness, how fast-paced it was. I loved, how rough it was, getting down and being gritty and tough. And
she was very, very good. I can always remember one day when the opposition coach said, I'm really disappointed in you guys because you got beat by a girl.
There was a few times where boys would cry after they found out I was a girl. And a lot of boys I'd be really good friends with, and then they'd find out I was a girl, and then I wasn't so much good friends with them, and it was just the way it was. My childhood is just, going in cars from sport to sport, and I was the youngest, so I got dragged around to everyone else's sports games until I was old enough to play sport.
She was always in the back of the bus, like the car. She used to cry when she saw the car because she's like, I would take Daniel to football, Levi to football, Madeline to netball.
But I played netball, soccer, AFL, did little athletics for a little bit. I tried everything.
Played with the boys in soccer then, was very easy, recognised as, one of the better players. And when she went to soccer, it was still like, we'll go and play soccer, but she's taken it to see where she is now, and what she's done is just amazing.
I wasn't very good, and I went from being one of the best players in my AFL team, one of the first pick players, to now being probably the last pick player in your team. And I think the hardest thing definitely was finding myself in soccer. I didn't know if I was a forward, a defender. I didn't really understand the rules. I didn't know offside. I didn't know how to take a throw in. I think I got chucked up front because I was obviously really fast, and I was terrible at finishing, but I could just get down the line and beat people. And because I played against boys still, it was difficult. But
I always tell the story. Her first year, Alistair Edwards, who used to run the soccer kind of over here, he walked up to Sam and said, "Oh, would you like to try out for the state team?" And she said, "Oh, no thanks," and she just walked off. And he just looked at me and he goes, "I've never had anyone say no to me. Like, I don't get that."
It's special playing for Perth Glory, so every fan here is, a hometown fan, and that's really special to me because they've known me for longer. They've known me before, my last 2 years of success. So it's a really special thing to come home and play in front of fans like that have always supported me and know me on a different level to other fans. A lot of people, now know me as a goal-scoring striker, but, people before that are in Perth know me as the hometown kid that, just plays for fun, and that's a really cool thing for me is they see me as who I am. And when you see someone wearing your jersey, it's a really cool moment, and it's cool that, someone has picked you as their favourite player. And I remember when I used to get my, favourite player's jersey when I was a kid, I wouldn't take it off for weeks.
Especially last year when we played in Sydney against Brazil, and, people were crossing out numbers and putting her name on the top and things like that. It was really cool, like, over the men.
To take her name to where it is, and Australian Matildas to where it is, it's just been fantastic. A great journey and a great ride.
That's just a really cool thing that, I can bring a kid so much happiness on a special day like that. It's something that I don't think I'll ever get used to. In the last 2 years, the respect for women's sport has jumped dramatically in Australia, but the Matildas is at the front of that. We're really changing the way people think about women's sport, and I think if you read the comments and stuff when they would write, "Oh, Daniel Kerr's little sister," people would be like, it's irrelevant now. It's nobody cares about what an AFL player has done compared to the world game.
One of the funniest stories, Daniel still coaches football, and they called him the boss. They put a big video up there and said, "Daniel, going to talk about your footy," and so they put the video on, and it was all Sam's highlights.
So what does boss mean?
Brother of Sam.
Representing your country is the highest honour ever. Everyone said, oh, why wouldn't you go to AFL? You get paid this much, you get to play for the Eagles, you get to live at home. And I'm like, that doesn't motivate me. Like, I want to play against the best in the world. I want to be one of the best players in the world. Winning a World Cup and winning an Olympics and actually being world champions would be something that, you can never get anywhere else that's a national sport.
I think the support the Matildas have got around Australia now, I think they're real. People know who they are. You can go to Sydney, you can go to Hobart, you say Matildas, they know it's soccer.
People are sitting up now and going, wow, the women's sport is really quite interesting, and I think the Matildas have really accelerated that. And I think Sam, has helped that along the way.
Young kids, young girls and boys are wearing Matilda jackets out and about, out in the streets,
If it gets rough, we can get rough, and if you want to play nice football, then we can play nice football. And I think that's the cool thing about the Matildas is we can play both sides of the game, and I think that's what makes us really good because, if we play a European team, we can play football. If we play a team like the USA where we want to run and we want to tackle and all that, we can do that too. And for us, our biggest rivalry is the USA. They probably don't think that about us, but we're coming for their spot. So that's our biggest rivalry, and we talk about it a lot. We talk about being a world champion and what it's going to take to, we can beat them at the Tournament of Nations, but that game doesn't really mean anything. They're the team that can perform all the time at Olympic Games, at World Cups, and that's the team we want to be. That's where we want to be.
I think we're going to be a real threat. I hope so anyway. We've got the Americans scared. No, I'm only joking. I love America.
I think the Matildas is doing a lot for young girls growing up, knowing that they have role models and something to strive for, but to bring home a World Cup trophy and show that, Australians can be the best in the world at something that we're not normally known for is massive and can change the mindset of young girls growing up. Change the mindset of I want to be the best player in Australia to I want to be the best player in the world. When I was growing up, I never thought about the world, I just thought about Australia. So for me, bringing home a World Cup trophy would just change the view and the mentality of young girls, young boys growing up that who cares about Australia, like let's be the best in the world,
I think if they did bring that trophy home, it wouldn't make even the girls, the Matildas, it'd put Australia on the map in soccer, to be one of the greatest nations in the world in soccer internationally. I think they'd be parading in Melbourne.
The only people that are going to stop us from winning the World Cup is ourselves. That's a really unique thing to say. I don't think many teams can say that about their team, but I really truly believe that if we want to go all the way and we put in the effort and really put in the work, that we will 100% be in that World Cup final. Heard it here first.